Have you ever cut across a vacant lot? We know it is shorter to walk this way than it is to walk around the corner. One way to find out how much shorter is to count your steps. But there is another, more accurate way. We'll find out about it as we learn about triangles. As you probably know, a triangle is a closed figure having 3 sides and 3 angles. We can also define a triangle this way: a figure composed of 3 points and the line segments connecting them. Triangles are not only important to us in mathematics, but are also commonly used as an important element in architecture,
So many problems. So many problems already. Haven't even started the show yet. Had problems. I was like, oh, I can show this triangle film. No, I already showed that triangle film. Then I'm like, oh, I can show this demonstration against the new national law, security law in Korea. Yeah, I deleted that file. So right off the bat, wabam. Lots of issues. Yeah. So I'm early by 2 minutes, but I hope everybody had a good weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. Yeah. But, yeah, we're just going to start just a little early with this Life in a Drop of Water. But this is the revised version. Enjoy.
The world we live in is a familiar world, but the life we can see is not the only life around us. Life also exists on a much smaller scale in the waters of our lakes and ponds. Water like this, just taken from a pond, contains plants and animals so small that we'll look for them in a single drop of water. The drop is a miniature world, a world that can be entered only through the microscope, which will magnify our drop many times. We can get an idea of what this means from this needle. In our everyday world, a needle is very small. But when we put it into our drop of water under the microscope, it looks immense. Here is a world in which darting animals are smaller than a needle point. This is the miniature world of the microscope, showing life in its simplest forms. These tiny living plants and animals carry on every one of the fundamental processes of life. Like all living things, each must obtain food to produce growth and energy. Each moves, either from place to place or within itself. Reacts or responds to changes in surrounding conditions, and reproduces its own kind. In pond water, much animal life depends on simple plants for food. These single-celled desmids and diatoms are common green algae. With the aid of sunlight and a green substance called chlorophyll, these plants make their own food from minerals. Waternet is another green algae, which is an abundant food supply for pond life. Amoeba, the simplest one-celled animal, has no definite shape. It is a tiny bit of jelly-like material called protoplasm. The moving living mass is held together by an outside layer of denser protoplasm. A contractile vacuole, looking like a white bubble, acts as a pump to collect and expel waste liquids. Food is absorbed directly into the protoplasm. On the left, a tiny animal is being entrapped by two of the pseudopods, or false feet of the amoeba. The color of an amoeba varies, depending much upon its last meal. The green stem in the lower right is Spirogyra, a common water plant. Vampirella, a species of amoeba, feeds on Spirogyra. With needle-like pseudopods, Vampirella breaks open the Spirogyra cells and extracts the green ribbons of chlorophyll. Often strands of Spirogyra are linked by small bridges of protoplasm. This is conjugation, the simplest type of sexual reproduction. The protoplasm from two cells unites to form a new cell. The round object surrounded by Spirogyra is Volvox. Volvox, like Spirogyra, has chlorophyll, but like amoeba or any typical animal, it moves about. Volvox is really a colony of thousands of single-cell plant animals called protists. Each cell has two small whips of protoplasm, or flagella, which lash about, rolling the colony over and over. More efficient movement is carried on by Paramecium, the slipper animal. A cell membrane gives Paramecium a definite shape. The membrane is covered with cilia, tiny hair-like projections. Moving rapidly, the cilia literally row the streamlined animal through the water. Paramecium feeds on the tiniest of plants, which are swept in by extra strong cilia lining the mouth groove. Paramecium can reproduce sexually by conjugation, or by fission, which is simply splitting in two. Other simple animals reproduce by fission. Like Paramecium, these bell animals are one-celled ciliates, but they live attached to plants and stones and do not use the cilia for locomotion. Their cilia are specialized for feeding. They can be seen as a ring around the open end of the bell-shaped body. The rapid beat of the cilia creates a whirlpool which sucks food particles into the gullet or throat. Vorticella is named for this characteristic whirlpool or vortex. The body is on an elastic stalk which anchors the animal to plants or stones in its feeding ground. The slightest disturbance causes a reaction like a coiled spring. A giant of the microscopic world is Stentor, the trumpet animal. Its single cell may stretch out to 1/10 of an inch. Like Paramecium, its body is covered with small cilia, and like the bell animals, its mouth is encircled by large cilia. In Stentor, the cilia around the mouth are fused in groups called membranelles. Actual grains of pigment in the body will give color to the various species of Stentors: brown, green, or blue. A Stentor looks like a deep-sea monster as it streamlines its shape for swimming. In its structure and adaptability, Stentor is one of the most complex single-celled animals. But single-celled plants and animals are not all the forms that we might find in our drop of pond water. Some are composed of many cells and are quite specialized. One of these is Hydra, whose sac-like body of 2 layers of cells makes it a relative of the jellyfishes and corals. Hydra is a meat eater, lurking like an octopus with outspread tentacles until some small animal brushes against them. Then the hydra paralyzes the prey with a shower of poisonous threads. The animal is then seized by the hydra's tentacles and transferred to its mouth. Hydras may reproduce sexually by developing specialized cells, which form eggs or sperms. Usually they reproduce by budding. This process, like fission, requires only one parent. Either a male or a female hydra can grow a bud, which shares the nourishment of the parent's body. Nerve cells in both parent and bud coordinate their muscular reaction until the bud breaks off. The swift little animal feeding around the Volvox colony is a rotifer, another many-celled form of microscopic life. The free-swimming rotifers sometimes attach themselves temporarily to a feeding spot. And some species of rotifer remain permanently attached to a plant or stone or tiny object. Rotifers have a tube-like digestive system with a mouth and anus for one-way traffic of food. For chewing, a rotifer has a strongly muscled food chopper called a mastex in its throat. The circle of cilia crowning the head sweep bits of food into the mastex. Other species of rotifer are even more specialized. This type builds itself a protective tube by cementing together tiny bits of debris, while this species lives in colonies. The beautiful lobes with their moving cilia seem to revolve, giving us the name rotifer, which means wheelbearer. These living forms are much more complex than the simple amoeba, but all of them must meet the basic requirements of life: moving, reacting, obtaining food, and reproducing. These are the same requirements needed by higher forms of life. Even our own requirements for living are no different than those we see in the teeming life in a drop of water.
Well, that was soothing. And so many good band names in there. Man, so good. I mean, Spyrogyra obviously is Spyrogyra, but there's so many other good ones in there. All right. This is another nice... The sun's out, which is great. I'm going to probably, after the show, probably go and spend some time in the sun, eat my lunch. But this is a great film. Some people hated it. I posted it on the channel, and some people did not like it. I dig it. Here it is. Shadows, shadows everywhere. Enjoy. I don't know if you could notice the slight, like, the image kind of doing like this. That's because that film was warped. It was curled. And so fitting on the gate, it lied flat enough, but it was kind of this... Yeah, that's what's happening there. Let's move some people in the community. There's a lot of Coronet stuff. So, behind me is our laser graphics scanner that we've been scanning. A bunch of stuff. Oh, yeah. I just found this in a can. Make sure every film in your library is in as good condition as this new print. This new print that I just scanned over there. Unfortunately, we don't, because of the technology of this, it scans the optical soundtrack, but it doesn't convert it in real time. So we don't have a way for you to listen to it. Like I've tried. Try to figure out different ways to do that, but it just doesn't work. So anyways, we scan stuff, and then over the next couple of days, we'll show it to you. So we scanned shadows everywhere last week. All right, so here's moving people in the community, which we scanned over the weekend. Enjoy.
In every community, people need ways to get from one place to another.
Like cars?
Right. Cars are one kind of private transportation. But what about people who don't have a car? How can they get to work?
A bus. Sure, they can take the bus.
Buses are one kind of public transportation. In a small city, most people have jobs close to home, but they still need transportation. Large city, there are many more people, and some of them live a long way from their jobs. They may even live outside the city.
In the suburbs?
Right. Most large cities have special roads for people who have a long way to drive.
Expressways?
Yes, expressways or freeways.
There's a lot of cars driving into the city.
This is the morning rush hour.
Do all those people take the train to work?
Yes, trains like this are a fast way to move many people from the suburbs to their jobs in the city.
There's another train. It's different, isn't it?
This is a special kind of train for the people who live in the city. It's called a rapid transit train. A rapid transit train can move faster than street traffic. And it stops only at special stations. A rapid transit train has to run on tracks, so it can't go everywhere in the city.
But a bus doesn't run on tracks. So it can go on any street.
That's true, but buses do have routes. They travel along certain streets and stop at certain corners. Often, people must transfer from one bus to another to get where they want to go.
Do some people change from the bus to the rapid transit train? Sure.
At some stations, people can transfer from one rapid transit train to another. People who drive to work don't have to wait for a bus or train, and they don't have to transfer. But they have other problems.
There are more cars now.
And they're slowing down.
Some are even stopping.
And what's another problem?
Cars make air pollution.
That's why you can't see those buildings very well.
When all the cars get into the city, they have another problem.
They have to find a place to park.
Streets and parking places for the cars and tracks for the trains. All this takes up a lot of valuable space. You know a way we can save some of this space?
It's going underground.
This is a tunnel, a subway. You may need transportation to get to school. If transportation is to move smoothly and safely, we need to follow certain rules.
Hey, how come that train is so short?
Well, the rush hour is over. Most people are already at work.
There aren't as many people riding the bus either.
No, but all day long, people do need transportation for shopping and other things.
The cars can move faster when it's not so crowded.
When it's not rush hour, what happens to all the other train cars?
There are some of them.
This is where they're kept until they're needed to bring people home from work at night. While they're not being used, the cars are cleaned. It takes many people doing many different jobs to keep public transportation running.
Like repairmen.
And conductors and motormen.
And of course, it costs money to pay these people and to pay for all the equipment. Some of the money comes from the fares that people pay to ride. Trains and buses are probably the cheapest kind of transportation you can use. Here's another kind of public transportation. A taxi doesn't have to serve a large number of people at the same time. It can take you exactly where you want to go. But it costs more than other kinds of public transportation.
If you have your own car, And you don't even have to wait for a taxi cab, and you can go wherever you want.
But private transportation also costs money.
You have to buy gasoline. And new tires and stuff.
And if anything's wrong, you have to pay to get it fixed.
Usually, it's cheaper to use public transportation. Of course, there are some places where there isn't much public transportation. You almost have to have a car.
Like a shopping center.
Shopping centers must provide plenty of space for parking cars.
And so do ballparks.
Whenever a lot of people travel to or from the same place at the same time, it gets very crowded. How can large crowds of people be moved quickly? One way is to provide several different kinds of transportation. Public transportation can move many people at one time. It would take hundreds of private cars to move the same number of people. Some kinds of transportation are faster than others. Some are cheaper. Some can take you more directly to the place you want to go. That's why we need several ways of moving people in the community.
Ooh, did you see that color strip test at the end? Love it. Absolutely love it. So this, I showed this, but I didn't really talk about it. So this is an ad for the Rapid Film Technique. It was based in Long Island City, New York. And it says, Rapid Film Technique can rejuvenate your film so every foot will be clean, clear, and smooth running. The 4 R's of Rapid Film Technique's unique service. 1, remove scratches, finger marks, stains, blemishes, clean both sides of the film. 2, repair film breaks and bad splices. 3, replace moisture through a special rehumidification process. 4, retard future deteriorations via application of special protective coating. And then you can send away for a free brochure, or you can have a rejuvenation specialist call to discuss complete review of the film library and how I can actually save money by using the Rapid Film Technique. So what they would do is they would repair the splices. Well, actually, the first thing they would do is they would run it through a chemical bath to clean it. Then they would sometimes what you can do to remove scratches is you can either coat it with a clear thing so that the back scratches on the base, the black scratches, they get filled in with something. The second thing is you can also chemically bathe the film with the emulsion so that it begins to puff a little bit, and that fills in some minor scratches as well. That's what big Hollywood studios would do sometimes, is they're like, well, there's some scratches in this print, but you know what, we can run it through this thing, but what happens is ultimately when it puffs, it becomes more sensitive, so it can get scratched even worse. And also the coating can sometimes over time attract more dirt or discolor so that you have this weird brownish coat. It's, so there's positives and negatives to all of that. All right. You know what I'd like to know about? Badminton. Enjoy.
This is badminton, undoubtedly one of the fastest and most thrilling of all sports, to watch or play. And as the experts play it, it's smooth, fast, precise, and keenly competitive. This is badminton as thousands play it at home. Young and old playing for the pure fun of the game and for healthful recreation and exercise. Every member of the family can play. The whole secret of badminton is contained in a few simple rules which anyone can learn. Naturally, the first essential is a properly laid out court. Any space that will accommodate a 44 by 20-foot court will do. Most courts are laid out for singles and doubles play. The inside sidelines demarking the singles court, the outside lines forming the doubles court. The net bisects the court and is suspended 5 feet, 1 inch high at the posts and 5 feet exactly in the center. No game can be played properly without proper equipment. The standard badminton racket is a fine piece of craftsmanship. It is easy and graceful to handle. The shuttlecock is made with a cork base covered with kid skin. The feathers are secured in the cork base and guide the shuttle in its flight. Now, let's get the fundamentals of the game from an expert. The grip is very important. On the forehand grip, the butt of the racket rests at the base of the hand. Fingers are slightly spaced. The forefinger slightly apart, and the thumb across the handle. The backhand grip is accomplished by turning the racket handle slightly in the hand and placing the ball of the thumb against the side of the handle. This slight change soon becomes an automatic movement. Now let's study the service. Serving is the greatest art in badminton. This is so because in badminton, only the server can score. The server must serve the shuttle from below the level of the waist. And the head of the racket must be below the level of the hand. Some players prefer to stand with the right foot forward, others prefer the left. But it is more important that you serve from a comfortable position. Drop the shuttle. Drop it away from the body where it can be most accurately and freely hit. Here is the area into which the singles player may serve. For the game of doubles, the service area is slightly shorter but wider. In the game of singles, the basic serve is high and deep into the opponent's court. This pushes the opponent away from the net, giving the server more time to see the return. In doubles, however, the basic serve should be low and short. Occasionally, the drive service may be used to advantage, or a high service may completely surprise your opponent. Here's what might happen on a low, short serve. And it did. Generally speaking, there are only two kinds of badminton strokes: the forehand, which applies to any shot hit on the right side of the body, and the backhand stroke is used to hit the shuttlecock on the left side or across the body. Here's the forehand stroke in slow motion. Notice that the arm and wrist are bent well back at the beginning of each stroke. Notice the long, smooth follow-through. Good badminton requires good footwork, too. On the forehand shot, the left foot is across the body and the left shoulder points towards the net. Full body weight starts on the right foot. At the moment of impact, the weight is shifted to the left foot. The backhand shot is just the opposite. The right foot is across the body, and full body weight starts on the left foot, shifts over to the right foot upon impact, and continues during the follow-through. All badminton shots are variations of either the forehand or backhand strokes. Be sure the wrist is well back for each and every shot. Relax. Swing firmly but smoothly, easily, and with rhythm. Let's look at some of the variations of both the forehand and backhand strokes. Here's the overhead clear. First, the forehand clear, and now the backhand. The clear is usually a defensive shot, and it is played high and deep to the opponent's back line. The clear may also be played at any height, shoulder height and underhand. The smash is one shot that must be played from an overhead position. It is the main point-winning stroke. Too fast? All right, let's look at it in slow motion. This is the drive, both forehand and backhand. The drive can be used offensively anytime the shuttle can be met at or above the level of the net and hit in a horizontal or downward line. The drop shot is exactly what the name implies. It can be played from any position on the court and is highly effective when it is mixed with drives for a change of pace. Try to develop a drop shot which just clears the net. The drop is important in mastering net play. Don't jab at the shuttle. Play a short drop shot with smooth, easy wrist action. Keep the shuttle low and as close to the net as possible. If your opponent hits the shuttle a little high, kill it off. That's the way. Now let's watch the advantages of expert playing. Watch the perfect preparation of foot and body movements. the overhead preparation should always look the same, whether it is a clear, a smash, or a drop shot. Yes, expert and beginner alike find pleasure in badminton. Play the game for the fun that's in it. Yes, everybody can play badminton. Badminton is fun for the whole family.
My experience with badminton, and I played a lot more badminton than I did tennis, in our backyard, was a couple of good volleys, and then the shuttlecock would end up on the roof. That's what happened in general. But, you know, it's fun. I like it. Let's see, what time is it? Here's a United States Information Agency or Information Service propaganda film about how great our country is and was. It's something. I watch these films, I'm like, oh, you know, they weren't 100% true, but at least this is something they were striving for. And so, here's adult education. Enjoy.
School is out for the day. But not for the night. Only one part of the day's schooling is over. For it is in the evening when the day's work is done that the adults come to school. Then the lights go on and the students come to the evening classes. Classes they themselves have requested. They come to gain the knowledge they have found they need. Since I became director of this adult education center, I frequently leave my office to watch the students pass and wonder what mysterious urge drives them on to learn more and more. Tonight, I'm going to make a general tour of the classes. Perhaps I'll find out. And this evening, the director of all the adult education centers in the area is visiting us. He also likes to look over the students' work and mark the success or failure in the various classes. It isn't the quality of the work that counts. It's the fact that somebody wants to do it, that somebody has the opportunity and takes it. Every class in the center, and there are 83 of them, is held because 20 or more people asked for it. There's no end to the asking or the variety of subjects. Often, husbands and wives study together. Education can be a family affair. They study just about everything. Arts and the sciences that fill their own individual needs, the crafts that will help them at home and in business. The orchestra is another kind of family, the kind that comes together because of mutual interest. Professionals and amateurs, the good and the far from good, find that all their differences can be settled if they just rehearse hard enough. Good cooks study to become better cooks, and they do. We sample the cookies and take more than we should, but good cooks all over the world enjoy appreciation. Yes, they really improve here at the school. Social dancing is one of the classes too. And the students not only learn the steps, but they come to know each other as well. For myself, there's a class in public speaking going on tonight, and I very much want to hear what's said. Tonight, there's a chance really to find out what the students think of the center and their work here. Tonight, as their public speaking assignment, the students are going to tell what adult education has done for them. I wonder who'll be the first to volunteer. This should be an interesting story. He starts by telling about the job he had when he first came to the center.
Once upon a time, I liked making things. I was good at my job. I was well paid for my work. But I'd been at that same lathe for too long. And I'd reached the place where I was ruining my work. If the truth were known, I guess my work was ruining me. That was the day that our shop steward first talked to me about adult education and the center. I wanted to know why I hadn't been getting ahead, why I'd been stuck on that lathe for so long. The shop steward told me frankly that I lacked the education for a supervisory position, that I didn't know enough about the thinking end of my business. He told me about this school and the classes I could take here. In a class in mathematics, I learned to think about the work that I'd been doing. My hands and my mind learned a new way of working together. There had to be planning before the work came to my lathe. I learned to plan. I became more than I had been through adult education.
That was a good story. I wonder who'll be next. Sometimes we have to call on the daydreamers and find out what stuff their dreams are made of. He was far away from this public speaking class. I wonder where he was.
I guess I wasn't really here at all. I guess I was home on my farm. I was thinking about the day that I first realized that learning is something that can go on as long as a man lives. Maybe I thought I knew everything I needed to just because the hens were laying well. Yes, there were lots of eggs that morning, and I had plans. Plans to build a new brooder and have more eggs. That is, I was expecting the plans by mail. You see, I'd been taking a correspondence course from the Agricultural College of the State University for some time, and they were sending the plans. When the mail came, I thought maybe this was going to be the day. And it was. The plans did come. The plans were clear enough, except that I didn't know enough carpentry to execute them. But I knew enough to bring my problem right here to the center. The plans, the blueprints, became reality. Adult education has taught me that two heads are better than one, particularly when one of them knows so much more than I do. That brooder was full of baby chicks when I left home tonight.
I am a doodler. I used to doodle all the time, principally at the office, while I took orders and listened to complaints and made promises over the telephone. Not all my friends and fellow workers appreciated my doodling. But then it's mighty hard to tell people that you'd like to be an artist, but that doodling is just about as far as you can get. One day a certain person guessed about my wanting to be an artist, and told me about the center and the art classes here. Funny thing about that, she turned out to be a student here herself. In my first class, my teacher told me that I needed to look at people, to really see them. I guessed that I'd seen them as doodles for too long. They looked fine on Saturday mornings in the park right near my home. And I had more fun than I'd had in a long time. It was here, in the art classes in the center, that the whole thing opened up for me. It was here that I knew I could learn to say anything that I had to say. I don't know what you think of it, but it's the best way I have of telling you what adult education has done for me.
I wondered if we'd be lucky enough to hear her story. When she first came into this public speaking class, I think she was the most frightened human being I'd ever seen.
All my life, I guess I've been more frightened of fear than of anything else. The day that Johnny was hurt in the school playground, I knew he'd be all right, but there were other aspects about it that frightened me. It was knowing that I'd have to do something about it, outside, that scared me. The children always wanted me to get out more, to meet people, their friends' parents, and I never could tell them that this shyness, this lack of courage, made such activities almost impossible for me. That day, the children insisted that I go to the PTA in their school and ask that something be done to make the playground safer. Oh, I went to the meeting. And my heart was going so fast I thought everybody in the room could hear it. I knew then that I couldn't do it. I tried. I tried as hard as I could, but I just couldn't get to my feet. Other women spoke, and spoke well, on such things as improving the school lunch program. And then the meeting was over. Worst of all was the thought of facing the children. I started this public speaking class at the beginning of the term. This afternoon, the PTA passed my resolution, the one the children wanted me to make. And that's what adult education has done for me.
Things happen here at the center that make all of us know that we're on the right track with this program. It's a nice feeling. And the school grows and goes on. Every school night brings requests for more classes. Every teacher meets ideas and forward thinking. New students join each term. Old students keep right on studying. There's a quote from Walt Whitman that we like in this place. He wrote, "We have not come this far in this land to halt today."
I like the scared lady. Yeah, thanks for joining us today. In spite of all the calamity at the beginning, I think we did okay. We got through it. If you happen to live in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area, I'll be doing a live show tomorrow at the Alamo Draft House at 6:30. It's called The Night of Bad Decisions, and I'll be showing films about decisions, how to make decisions, and poor decisions, and then I'll have the audience pick what films to watch, which is always kind of fun. There are tickets still available in the front row, and I will try to give gifts to everybody in the front row to reward them, because sitting in the front row is not something to be ashamed of, and the image is not as big as the full image, so it's actually not, you don't have to crane your neck as much. It's not as overwhelming. So anyways, thanks again. If you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. Those are great ways to support us. You can also support us via the Super Thanks button, or ko-fi.com/avgeeks, or patreon.com/avgeeks. Those are other ways to support us, or, continue watching and sharing other films that we've been uploading, as we have been uploading roughly 25 a day. So we're trying to get to 10,000 by the end of March. It might happen. We might have to push it a little bit. It's getting harder because there's a lot of stuff that I'm uploading that it's like, oh, I've already uploaded that. So it's, it used to be like, oh, here's all this new stuff. I don't have to worry about it. But now I have to check every single title because I don't want to upload duplicates. Oh, well, that's my life. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Everybody take care. Have a great day. Bye.